Hey guys, Dan here from the Dangerously Fit Academy. In this week's video, I'm going to go through 3 quick tips that you can apply to your heavy steel club training. The first tip I'm going to go through is keeping your wrist fixed. So Indian clubs is very different to steel club training. Indian clubs, which are typically made of wood or poly, only weigh about 1, 2 or 3 pounds, which is around about half a kilo to 1.5 kilos. Whereas the steel clubs, they're much heavier. So they can go up to 50, 60, 70 pounds, which is 20 to 30 kilos. So there's a big difference in weight. And then for that reason, with Indian clubs, we can do a lot more rotational movements with a lighter club. But if we try doing that with a much heavier club, then it's going to be causing all types of problems to your wrist. So with our wrist, with a steel club, we really want to be keeping that wrist as strong as possible. If we're in the order position, we've got our first grip, which is a hammer grip. With our hammer grip, you've got a neutral wrist. We're not flexing or extending or doing any rotational type movements. It's almost like you're throwing a punch. You're in a very strong position. The second grip you're going to be doing a lot with heavy club training is your saber grip. Any swinging type movement, you're in a saber grip. Okay, so if I'm casting the club out to my left and I've got my arm out straight from here, then that's our saber grip. Again, that's a very strong position for your wrist to be in. What we don't want to be doing is any sort of rotational movements or flexing or extending the wrist too much, especially not when we get into the heavier weights. I'm going to show you an example now with the shield cast. So I've got the wrist in that hammer grip position, and then I'm going to cast that club over the shoulder into the back pocket. As I cast it over, I'm staying in that hammer grip the whole time. It doesn't come out of that hammer grip at all the way through. Okay, get that full flexion on that tricep and then back into that starting position. So your wrist is fixed all the way around the body. So there's no flexion or extension or rotation when we're doing that movement. Next exercise, we can do our meals, where we're going to go much more into that saber grip. And again, from here, we've always got that wrist either in the saber grip or in the hammer grip. But essentially, with that movement now, we're in the saber grip here, all the way through that swing. And then as we come into that sword in sheath position, we're back into our hammer grip again. The next tip we're going to be going through is with our mills and our reverse mills. So that's milling with the elbow and not the wrist. One of the things I see a lot when we're going through our steel club workshops, people are performing the mill, they're trying to move the club with their wrist, whereas the wrist and the hand is just holding the weight. Okay, I'm not putting down with my hand, I'm moving this elbow. So it's the elbow circle that moves the club from the front of the body to the back of the body when we're doing our reverse mill. And with the normal mill, the elbow circle moves the club from the back of the body to the front of the body. So to give an example, when we are doing our mill, we've got the club in a sword and sheath position behind the body, so the club's behind me. I'm going to do my inside elbow circle to move the club from the back of the body to the front of the body. Okay, so from here, back of the body, inside elbow circle, club's now at the front of the body. When I'm doing my reverse mill, I've got the club coming here. I want to move the club from the front of the body to the back of the body. So it's the exact opposite. So I'll do an outside elbow circle, and then that moves the club from the front to the back into that sword in sheath position. So reverse mill, club at the front, elbow circle, club at the back, and then normal mill, clubs at the back, inside elbow circle, clubs at the front. So it's really important when you do your mills and reverse mills to move the club with that circle, and then the rest will follow. I'll just do a few reps with a heavier club now. So this one, this is about 27 pounds, 26 and a half, 27 pounds, 12 kilos. So starting off in that order position, shift the weight to my right, cast the club to the left, move that club from the front of the body, move the club from the back of the body to the front of the body with the elbow circle. And then we're going to do the opposite with the reverse mill. And the last tip we're going to go through is the 4-part hinge. So we teach this drill a lot with our kettlebell workshops as well. Oftentimes when people hinge, they're using a 1-2 hinge rather than a 4-step hinge. Okay, so I'm going to break down and show you what I mean. First off, we're going to go through the difference between a hinge and a squat. This is often mixed up. An easy way to teach this is if you're sitting down, then you're squatting. Okay, if you say you drop your keys and you want to pick something up off the floor, then that's a hinge. Okay, so it's the difference between hip hinge movement, which is hip dominant, and a squat, which is quad dominant. Two ways you can hinge. There's an incorrect way and in the correct way. So the incorrect way is just dropping the shoulders forward, okay, and you're not really getting any glute activation or hamstring activation that way. The correct way is to drive those hips back. You'll still get that same movement, but this time my hamstrings and my glutes are loaded up, and they're my big strong muscles which are going to power that swinging movement. Then once you can do your hinge correctly, so you're hinging from the hips and not dropping the shoulders, the next thing is to work on the 4-part swing. Where people go wrong oftentimes when they're doing a swing is they're just doing a 2-part swing. When you're doing a 2-part swing, your body gets disconnected to the weight and oftentimes gets left behind. So you want to stay connected to that weight for as long as you can, especially when you get up into heavier weights. So what I mean is hinging through the hips before the club has reached the body. If you hinge before the club has reached the body, you're in this position here, you've got the weight forward here, a lot of that load goes onto the lower back, you're not in a strong position. If you wait for the club to pass the legs before you hinge, this is a nice strong position here, you're in a much stronger position, and when the club's behind the body, you're much more connected to the club, and when you're driving your hips forward, you can drive up a lot more weight, be a lot more powerful, and a lot more explosive. So this is the incorrect way, this is the 1-2-part movement, so it's 1 down, 1 up, 2, 1, 2. Instead of doing a 2-part movement, we want to do a 4-part movement, okay? So the 4-part movement is, instead of just going down, up, what we want to be doing is cast that club back towards the body. Only when your arm is in line with the legs is when we hinge. We're trying to get in that broad jump position, so it's a straight line between the crown and the coccyx. We've got those hips loaded up nice and strong because we've got those hips driving back. And then from there, just think about doing that broad jump position. That's where you're most strongest, that's where you're most athletic, that's where you can generate the most amount of power. That's where you want to be in, at that bottom position of that swing. Then from there, it's a short, sharp drive from the hips, explode that club back upwards. So that's number 2. Number 3, we float up. Number 4, the club floats down. It's only when the club passes the legs again that we hinge and we drive forward again. Okay, so the 4-part movement is 1, we hinge, 2, we drive forward, 3, club floats up, roundabout, shoulder to eye level. Number 4, it floats down. Only when the club passes the leg is when we hinge. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of 1, 2, 1, 2, and what will happen with that is the arm is here and we've already hinged, okay? Our hips should be there before we hinge. When we set up, you can use your hands as a little bit of a prompt. Drive those hips back, so you feel the stretch on the hamstrings and glutes. Then from there, get the heel of the hand on the pommel, arm is locked out, shoulder down and packed down, turn that lat on, and then from there, we're gonna hike that club past the legs, short, sharp drive through the hips, explode those hips forward. Wait for the club to pass, and then explode forward. And then the last point with that one as well is when you're looking, we just want to keep a straight line between the crown and the coccyx. Oftentimes when people are doing a swinging type movement, they're looking at the mirror in front of them, and what happens is you end up cranking your neck, okay? So there's not a straight line between the crown and the coccyx. They've got a crank in this neck that goes 45 degrees on the spine, and then your head's popping up. Instead, focus on a point around about 1 meter in front of you. So when we're in that bottom position here, we've still got perfect alignment going through from my crown to my coccyx, and I'm not cranking my neck forward. I'm looking forward and down. Hey guys, that's it for today's video. Be sure to comment below on some of your favorite steel club training tips. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this video. If you want more videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you want to check out our dangerously fit strength training equipment, all of our products are available through our websites. I'll leave the links in the description below. Thanks again for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.